Good evening. Now, in breaking news, confidential papers regarding the war in Vietnam have been leaked. We now go to our sister station, who is reporting on the case.
Oh my god, look what I found! The war in Vietnam is going terribly. They've been lying to us this whole time. I've got to get the word out.
Oh man, check this out. I just got this email from Daniel Ellsberg regarding the status of the war. I gotta let the boss know. Hey man, so listen, this guy Ellsberg is really trying to expose the government. Did you know that the war is actually costing us more lives than what we originally thought? And that illegal bombings are actually happening? Like, how could they let this happen? Alright, so let's see what we're gonna write. So, the Vietnam War.
Oh my god, the government's been lying to us this whole time. Wait, the Nixon administration obtained a court order under prior restraint. They believe it was a matter of national security. We can't publish anything else regarding these documents.
Man, alright, let me let Ellsberg know.
Oh no, the government is trying to censor its citizens and their freedom of speech. Let's try this again with the Post.
Oh, look, I just got this email saying how we have to publish something called the Pentagon Papers. I don't know what this guy's thinking. Let's see.
Oh my god, the government's been lying to us this whole time.
After all of this, the government once again tried to use their prior restraint powers, but they failed to do so, and they failed to retrieve a court order allowing this action. The Nixon administration appealed their case, and it will soon be before the Supreme Court in the New York Times versus the United States.
New York Times, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Justice. The First Amendment, our First Amendment, states that Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech or the press. Now, under this very First Amendment, the publication of these documents is protected.
So you're saying that the Nixon administration violated your First Amendment right?
Absolutely. The president can use his executive powers to stop the publication of these documents in matters of national defense. The Nixon administration has failed time and time again to show that the publication of these documents would endanger national security. The press has a right to inform the American people. New York Times. The United States has the floor now.
The First Amendment does not guarantee freedom of press. Now that national security is involved, it makes it an even bigger deal. The government needs to establish a fine line between the government's duty to protect its citizens and freedom of the press. If the court allowed the publication of these documents, it would set a precedent for future cases. Not only does this deal with the First Amendment, it deals with the Espionage Act. Leaking confidential government papers is a matter of national security.
So you say that you want to protect your citizens.
Yeah.
Then why exactly would you lie to the American people about the amount of lives lost in this Vietnam War? I would just like to say thank you to our sister station for that wonderful demonstration of the court case. The Supreme Court, in fact, ruled in a 6-3 decision in favor of the New York Times, saying that their intent was not to endanger the American people, but to simply inform them about the Vietnam War. The executive branch was violating the reporters' First Amendment rights by forbidding them to publish these papers.
The concurring justices said that the court cannot allow stifling of the press on the order of the government. The justices also stated that the freedom of the press is an essential function of democracy. Justice Black stated that the First Amendment abolished the government's ability to censor the press in order to ensure that people have access to information that is free from government bias. The justices also stated that the language in the Espionage Act is too broad to apply to this case.
In the majority opinion, most of the justices, in fact, believe that the First Amendment is absolute, meaning nothing can take away these words regardless of what action is taken upon them, while other justices believe that the New York Times and the Washington Post had gone a little too far publishing the Pentagon Papers. They found nothing that could stop them or anything in the law that is preventing them from publishing the papers.
The dissenting opinion stated that the executive branch had plenty of responsibilities, therefore they had to be given more authority. Chief Justice Berger, who dissented, believed that when free press collides with a complex government, gives the executive branch effective constitutional powers, the government should win the majority of the time.
The decision was able to reinforce the court's stance against prior restraint. By the courts allowing the publication of the papers with the New York Times winning the case, it set a precedent for future cases involving the press and national security. The point of view of the First Amendment has been open for debate ever since it was created in 17-something, but now even more that the papers were published. It changes the perspective on how the government can protect its people when the press is involved and how it should be used for the people.
This case will also give the press more freedom in the courtroom for defending themselves. This case rejustified that prior restraint was not allowed and that the press should be able to publish within few regulations. This case expands freedom of press and restrains government power.